Hello again, sick, twisted weather freaks. So, welcome to another fun filled, action packed, and hopefully intellectually stimulating edition of This Week of Weather. I'm your host and meteorologist, DT from WX Risk here in Central Virginia, doing our Weather Insider with This Week in Weather, our January 29-30 presentation on this early Saturday morning. And obviously, the main topic here is going to be the Noreastern. Now, I am, of course, as always, your loyal commander of chaos, captain of confusion, commander of catastrophe. So let's get to talking about this Noreaster. There's a picture of my smiling face here from Richmond, Virginia. And you can see me often. There's my email here, Verizon and Gmail. There's the Twitter page and the Facebook page. So that's obviously going to be our topic here. Now, before we get to it, let me point out some things here. We had this little minor event on late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And, at one point, some of the models, especially the GFS and Canadian, were making it a big deal. And there was this European model that consistently underplayed it, and so was the British model. But and they turned out to be correct. They got the 2 to 4 inches in Hampton Roads and northeast North Carolina. Some areas got 4 or 5 inches into southwest Virginia, and that's what the European was showing in the British model. So the reason I want to point this out here is this is the NAM. Now this is just bear with me. This is what the NAM was doing. Only this one here on the lower right, lower left, I should say. This one here. This came out on Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, valid up to Thursday night into Friday, and you can see it had very little snow here in any portion of southwest Virginia, north central North Carolina, south, nothing. But then this was the run which came out on Wednesday afternoon, just 18 hours later. And look at the difference in the snow here. You see how the NAM suddenly got a clue and it just jumped up and it just changed everything? So I want to point that out to you. So when you see things like the NAM and it's doing strange, goofy shit at 60 hours, don't get too wrapped up into it because, it's not that great of a model past 36 or 48 hours. So that's my whole point. I wanted to bring that to your attention. All right. As you may have seen, this here's my first guest map, which came out on this Friday evening. And you can see here that I've got a nice band of 8 to 12 inches in Ohio. And then, of course, from Roanoke up into, D.C. and Baltimore and Philly, New Jersey, up to New York City, eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, eastern Massachusetts. And then I have a band of 12-inch plus there, and I'll explain to you why I have that. The other thing that's changed here is that the 2-inch snow line has now dropped down to the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. I may drop it even further south than that. I'm not sure if they're going to get more than 2 inches in Binghamton. And the rest of it's pretty much unchanged. You can see the 4-inch line is just south of Richmond. The 8-inch line is north and west of Richmond, and so on and so forth. So there's not much change otherwise. It's just I keep a nice general 8 to 12-inch band because I think that's gonna be justified. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that the final snow totals may be somewhat impacted by the break in the action on Sunday night into Monday morning with the second band, the phase 3 of the event develops. So that's a little tricky with the snow totals here. Now this is obviously the total snow. So the phase 1 of this is going to be the initial outburst of snow on Sunday. So that's phase 1. That's fairly easy to figure out here. Then phase 2 is what happens Sunday night as the low jumps to the coast and the primary low dies in Ohio. The primary low being located, let's say here. This dies, it goes into West Virginia, and the new low develops here. So we're going to get a dry slot in here where not much is happening. That may push close up to DC. I mean, this is just an approximation here, folks, right? Meanwhile, it's rain here in Hampton Roads and up into the Delmarva. Now, this is still getting snow because here's your low. You're getting your cold air. The cold air is still coming down. You're getting your moisture coming in from the Atlantic and so on and so forth. Now, the precip has just got into New York City by Sunday night. It's not yet in Boston. See that? And then over here, it's warmed up with the primary low pulling the warmer up into southwest Virginia and eastern Kentucky. And then in Roanoke and into portions of the Shenandoah Valley and eastern and central West Virginia, we have mostly ice or sleet and ice mixed. So that could be interesting here. So they could get like 6 or 8, 9 inches in Roanoke and up towards, Lexington, and then they get this ice on top of it. So that could be a real problem for the southern part of the Shenandoah Valley and interior southeast Virginia. Then, once the coastal low develops, this is phase three, which you can see here. And I'll bring the map a little bit. Now what happens is that, we're going to get two lows on the coast. This one here, the main low may be here, and we get a second low or a trough like this in the isobars, something like that. So what happens is you get a north wind coming down, and it pulls the cold air and the snow, drives it back down. So the mixed precipitation in Richmond and Charlottesville and Fredericksburg and the northern neck goes back to snow. And we don't know how far down the snow is going to get. It may stop here. It may go down to Greensboro. I don't know. Every nor'easter is different. And the other issue is, what is this wraparound going to be? Is it going to be snow showers? Is it going to be 1 to 3 inches of snow? I don't know. It could be any one of those things. Like I said, every nor'easter is different. Now, so that's also something to keep in mind here. So, all right, as we take a look at this in more detail, here's our teleconnections map, the EPO, the PNA, the Arctic Oscillation, the NAO. Again, as I pointed out in the past, this is what you want to see for the ideal snowstorm. You want to see the negative EPO, which is the ridge in Alaska, and then you want to see a PNA, which is the ridge on the west coast, and you want to see a negative Arctic Oscillation and a negative NAO or Greenland block. That's what you want to see. And if we look at the charts here, we'll see this here is the Arctic Oscillation in the upper left. Here you can see Arctic Oscillation there, and then notice here we are right now, and all the models out into mid-February keep this thing strongly negative. So that's very good for additional winter weather. Here's the NAO here, and we're right here in negative, a little rise, and then look at this, it drops back down again. So that's pretty good into the middle of February. Now if we look at the Pacific, things are a little different here. Now the EPO is currently right here. It's positive, which is not what you want to see. But look what happens. It drops down to neutral in early February, and then it generally goes negative. And that's a good sign for East Coast winter storms, potentially down the road, some kind of winter weather. But the PNA, here is a PNA negative. It goes to neutral, and then it drops back down again. So that means you're going to get a trough on the west coast here. So that's not ideal. So overall, the situation is not bad going forward into February. It's not ideal, but it's pretty good. We're missing one piece, but other than that, things are looking pretty good. Now, this here is the upper air pattern. So here is our massive Greenland block. You see this red-brown color? That's a huge positive anomaly. See that? Off the charts. So this is the upper low right here, this piece of energy right here. That's it. And what it's going to do is going to pass underneath it. Now, also, here's our big 50-50 low, that big area of low pressure in the jet stream over southeastern Canada. That these two features keeps this low tracking to the east, which is why you get your snowstorm. So here we go. Now that was this was 36 hours. This is now 60 hours. This is Sunday night, and you can see the trough is now deepening. Okay, getting deeper right there. There's our block, and the low pressure is intensifying. And then as we go to this is Monday night. Now look what's happened. The difference here. There's your trough. You can see a little bit development here. You look at the lines, you can see the development here like this, right? And then when you compare it to this image on Monday evening, you can see it closes off. You see that, I don't know if you can see this directly, but it does close off right here. Close 500 low, and it's a pretty deep trough. It's neutrally tilted underneath the block, and that's one of the reasons why it slows down, is because this pattern indicates it should come to a stall for 12 to 18 hours. So that's one of the reasons I think it's going to do that. So, and there are models which show that, so there's pretty good agreement with that idea as well. And then finally, the trough moves off the coast. You can see that here. This is for Wednesday. And then here's our next system, which is a west coast trough here, and we get some warming ahead of this when the next cold front comes through on next weekend. Okay. So if we look at how this develops to the surface, now this is the surface map here valid for Saturday night. And you can see the main low is back in Kansas. See this? Nice snow in Chicago and Des Moines, but the leading edge of the snow is already in eastern Kentucky. See that? And here's our Arctic high driving the cold air southward. Okay, so that's Saturday night. And if we take a look, enlargement of this is here early Sunday morning, 1 a.m. Now that you can see the snow is already in Richmond. You can see that down in here on the North Carolina border, way back here in the southwest Virginia. And then look at the heavy snow in Chicago and northern Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. So, and then the heavy snow is breaking out here in southwest Virginia. But that's 1 a.m. on Saturday. So that's pretty rapid snow breakout. This is 12 a.m. on, excuse me, this is 7 a.m. on Saturday. And you can see the heavy snow developing in most of Virginia, western and central Maryland, Ohio, northern West Virginia, Indiana, near Chicago, southern Michigan. Pretty big system. There's the primary low in southeast Illinois. And then we go to, this is 1 o'clock on Sunday. Now we begin to see the coastal low take over. So if you look at the winds, let's look at the isobars here, okay? So look what the winds are doing. This, and then this, you see this? East and southeast winds, see that? So that forces the rain snow line of Richmond north, or just now around 1 o'clock. Maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it depends how fast. Now the primary low is dying. You see how it's falling apart? It's much weaker, and there's a new low forming here. But as these are transferring energy, we still have east or southeast winds, which drives the warm air inland. By by Sunday night, the winds are beginning to change a little bit. We still have an east wind from off the ocean. See the isobars here? You can see this? Look at the isobars. See that? East wind still. But the wind is beginning to turn a little bit. As this low begins to develop and move off the coast, the winds are going to turn out of a north direction. And this low is dying. Notice the precipitation here is falling apart. Okay, as the energy transfer takes place. And then finally, not finally, but this here is now Monday at 1 a.m. The low is off the coast. Now look what happens to your winds. Now your winds are doing this. You see? Look at this. Now the wind's out of the northeast. And look what happens. The snow shield is dropping back down towards Charlottesville and Fredericksburg and maybe Ashland. You see that? See how it's dropping southward? So there you go. Now the second part, the primary low, is still doing some snow and stuff in Ohio and Illinois, Indiana, but not significant. And then this is valid for Monday at 7 a.m. Now here's our dry slot. Look where the low is off the coast, off of the Delmarva. So this is all dry slot in here. See that? There's your dry slot. But the snow is rotating backwards, and now we're getting a north wind. These are all north winds. You follow the isobars, pulling the cold air down. So the snow wraps back down in the Shenandoah Valley, back into Harrisonburg and Stanton and Charlottesville and Roanoke and places like that, back into Culpeper. And of course, any warming is now shut off in D.C. completely. And then by 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon, it's gone back over to snow in Richmond, if you can believe that. And look at the snow. It even goes back down to Greensboro on the wraparound. See this? It just wraps all the way, it wraps all the way around this way like this. See? See how it's coming down? All northeast winds. And look where the low is, stationed off the coast right here, off the Delmarva. See that? So that's important. Now, if this low is, let's say, up here, that dry slot is going to be up like this, and all the wraparound is going to miss much of eastern Virginia and Maryland. I mean, so where this low is really, really important. So that's an important aspect of the forecast. And then finally, this here is now 7 o'clock on Monday, and it's still snowing in Virginia and Maryland and Delaware and all these places. Now, you're getting a lot of snow in Boston and down to New York City, heavy snow down to Jersey and to Philly. This is all heavy snow. But you still have pockets of moderate snow down to North Carolina, and then, out by Williamsburg, and Richmond's getting snow, and Charlottesville and Culpeper. Some of it's moderate snow, some of it's light snow, some with snow showers, but there's still precipitation falling. And this could, Monday afternoon to Monday evening, another 1 or 2 or 3 inches. It's not out of the question. Depends on the wraparound. So let me show you some things here. Now, in terms of my forecast, why I came up with, I'll go back to the forecast here. Let me show you the trends here, what's going on with these models at midday. So this is the 12Z data we're looking at right now, okay? So this was the 12Z GFS, the snow map from the Ensemble. And notice the precipitation is lined like this, almost by I-81. That's the heaviest precipitation. You see how it's gone in the valley here? This purple stuff, that's 10 inches, and the darker purple is 12 to 14. And this is the Canadian model. This is a Canadian model from midday on Friday, and look where the heaviest snow is. Now, the Canadian has very little snow in northeast Pennsylvania, unlike the GFS. So it's a very sharp line here. But again, decent snow, 4 to 8 in central Virginia, and then in the Shenandoah Valley, 6 to 10. That seems pretty good like that. But you notice the similarities here with the snow shield. The same general idea. This is the 12Z British model, and then the Canadian model, which only goes out to 7 o'clock on Monday evening. And look where the heavy snow is on both of these models. New York City down to DC on the British model. See that? Again, you're 4 to 8 in central Virginia, very sharp cutoff in southeast Virginia, 6 to 10 in the valley. That seems reasonable. And then look at the RGM, showing the same sort of thing. 12 plus right here. Now, there are some differences, like the British model has the big snow in New York City. The Canadian model doesn't, but again, this only goes out to Monday evening, 7 p.m. More snow is going to be falling in here. But it's the same general idea. And this here is the European and the European Ensemble. 18Z European in the upper left, and the European Ensemble at 18Z on the bottom right. Notice, again, amazing similarities. Best snows Boston, New York City, New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, into along Altoona maybe, western Maryland, down in the Shenandoah Valley, up towards DC and Wilmington and central Jersey. Look at the Ensemble, mean, where the best snow is. Very, very good agreement. You want to see the operational model and the Ensemble matched. That's a good sign. That means the forecast, the models are having an idea. This here is the this is the 18Z 12-kilometer NAM, and again, this only goes out to 84 hours, so there's going to be more snow falling in New England, but you can see nice snow here in all this area. That seems very reasonable to me. Maybe a little overdone, but very reasonable. And this here is the 12Z European extended snow. You can see, and this is Kushera using the snow amounts here. The algorithm's a little different. It has a little more warming in here. So, but again, 4 to 8 in that area. And then look at the big snows again. Well, just like this. Again, very, very strong model agreement. So let's take a look at our 0Z models here a little bit. This is for early Saturday morning. Now this here is the Canadian model, and it goes just freaking bonkers. Look at this. 30 plus inches of snow in and around just to the west and north of Philly. I mean, I got to tell you folks, this is bullshit. That's not going to happen. It just is not going to happen. Now, there is significant snow in New England. This is different. It's got a lot of snow in Vermont and even some decent snow in Albany. Again, none of the other data is showing this. We're not seeing that in Albany. We're not seeing that in Vermont. You can see it, but it's just not showing it. So I think this is wrong. It's just overdone here. Yes, there's going to be heavy snow in southeastern Pennsylvania and New York City. 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 inches. Yes, Hagerstown, sure. 30? Really? Nah. I don't see that. Okay. This here is the GFS model. Again, it got a concentration of really heavy snow in just to the west of Philly, in Lancaster, Harrisburg. That's nice. That's very possible. And it's got, your typical 4 to 8 here in central Virginia, and then your 6 to 10 in the valley. That seems reasonable. And then the heavy snows into New York City, and then Boston, New England. I'm not sure what the GFS is doing with that. But that's all very reasonable. That's a very reasonable looking map, not out of the question at all. And then this here, that was the GFS. Now we go to, this is the NAM, which takes us, the 60-hour high-resolution kilometer NAM. So this is not a good model here, okay? This is just not, at this time range, it's too far out in time, but let's look at it anyway. So this is Sunday at 2 a.m., and you got a band going down to Richmond like this, and then over towards Ohio. Just a little band, there's a gap in between. This is now 7 a.m. You can see the heavy snow in southwest Virginia, a lot of ice here in North Carolina, like this, and that sort of thing. Then we go, this here is Sunday at, let's see what time this is, would be 11 a.m. You can see the really heavy snow in central Virginia coming down really hard there. Heavy ice on the Virginia-North Carolina border. Rain in Hampton Roads there, so the lows, but again, the low is transferring really slow here. And then this is Sunday evening at 4 o'clock, no, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is 5 p.m. here. And it's changed it over in Richmond, or just about to. You got some mixing down in southwest Virginia. The snow up in Philly, this sort of thing. And then it actually has a huge dry slot here in the Shenandoah Valley, where the dry slot should not be. So that's why this is wrong. That's not where the dry slot's going. The dry slot's going to be here. not going to be in the Shenandoah Valley. That's just wrong. And then it has a rain line almost up to DC, and again, that's wrong. That's not going to happen. I don't think it is. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't see that happening. So it does okay up until you get within 36 hours, then it falls to hell in a handbasket. And this is now, and on this slide here, this is Monday morning at 2 a.m. And you can see it's actually has mix in DC. Here's the dry slot. It covers most of Virginia. Not much going on here at all. And the wraparound is like this. The coastal low is here. It's not very strong. You can see it. And then the wraparound is still all back in here. This is now Monday morning at 7 a.m. So I don't know if this is going to come in or come back in or not. I don't know what's going to happen here. So if the model does this, it's going to take the wraparound with it. And that's going to be the end of the storm. So I don't think that's right. It's the NAM. None of the other models agree with it. So we'll see. This is the high resolution European early Saturday morning. And it's got a bit of a more changeover in central Virginia. Here's your 6 to 10 in this area here, not as much in DC. And all the big snows, you can see the 12, 18 inches into Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Lancaster, even Altoona, and then Allentown and New York City, and then good snows in eastern New England as well. So that's what the European is showing there. And then this is, let me see if the European Ensemble has come in yet. Yes, it has. Here is the European Ensemble, and it's again pretty consistent. The best snows, there's the purple stuff, 10 to 12 inches. DC, eastern Maryland, northern Virginia, very nice. Northern Shenandoah Valley, eastern Virginia Panhandle, Harrisburg, that sort of thing. And then up into central New Jersey. But look at the sharp cutoff in South Jersey and Ocean City, Maryland, and Salisbury. And then just to the east of Richmond. So, west side of Richmond, 8 inches, and then Richmond about 4 to 6, 4 to 7, and then east of it, 2 or 3. So, and then and also decent snows down in here as well, and then also some good snows here. It's your 6, 8, 9, 10 inches in the southern Shenandoah Valley. So, very reasonable. You look at that map and you compare it to that. Looks pretty close. So, we'll see. And then if we go beyond that, let's see here, that was the European. This here is the new 0Z GFS. And it's got the best snows very close to this. Look at the similarities between that best snows and the GFS. This. European Ensemble, GFS. European Ensemble, GFS. So really, really close. And then this here is, again, the GFS does not have that much in eastern New England, which I think is wrong. I think that's a mistake. So I don't like that solution. This here is a British model. And also, again, look at the big snows here and the British model there. GFS, European Ensemble, British model. European Ensemble, British model. Very, very good agreement. And that seems reasonable to me. Here is the Canadian, again, with the monstrously huge snowfall here in just to the west of Philadelphia. It's down to still 30 inches. I mean, it's just yeah, sure, whatever. Not going to happen. Interestingly enough, the GFS does have significant ice down by just to the south of Roanoke along the Virginia border here. Danville, Martinsville, Hillsville, Petersburg south of that, Crew, places like that, South Hill, South Boston, some pretty good ice there as well. All right, so in summary, let's take a look at our known unknowns. Biggest problem, the biggest concern here that drives the whole forecast is where does the coastal low set up on Monday? Close to the coast, off the coast, way up to the north, all possibilities. And that, of course, determines the dry slot on, not so much on Sunday, but the dry slot especially on Monday. Those are big, big things with the dry slot. These two features, the coastal low and the dry slot, are directly connected. Cannot emphasize that enough. Central Virginia, how soon will a changeover occur on Sunday afternoon? How much sleet? When it turns to rain, the ground temperatures are very cold the last several days. So will it be rain and drizzle or freezing rain and freezing drizzle? There could be a 3 or 4 inch difference between, let's say, Petersburg, New Kent versus Midlothian, Short Pump, and Ashland. And then the phase 3 wraparound snow. Is it 1 inch? Is it 2 inches? Is it 3 inches? Probably an inch or two, I would think. Okay, in the western middle peninsula and northern neck in northeast Virginia. Again, a 3 or 4 inch difference between the amount of snow that falls near the bay versus, let's say, inland by King William or Tappahannock. And the phase 3 wraparound snow on Monday looks like 1 to 3 inches is a pretty good bet there coming down from DC. Okay, the next unknown unvariable here is, let's take a look, see, in Southwest Virginia. From I-77 Whitefield over to Lexington and Lynchburg, most of the snow falls on Sunday. 8 inches seems to be a good bet, something like that. The reason why it's not going to be 10 is unlikely is because the 850 temperatures warm up Sunday afternoon, so the precipitation goes to sleet and freezing rain, but your temperatures are below 32 degrees, so there could be significant ice Sunday afternoon, evening, into the early morning hours of Monday. Again, freezing rain, freezing drizzle, sleet, something like that. In central and northern Shenandoah Valley, this looks like a big snow hit. If the phase 3 wraparound is significant, it could be 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inches on top of what they get. And let's say in Staunton or Harrisonburg and Winchester, Front Royal, Strasburg, that sort of thing, Massanutten, it could be additional good snows there on Monday afternoon. In the Virginia Piedmont, Lynchburg, Amelia, Charlottesville, Culpeper, Lake Anna, again, most of the snow falls on Sunday, 6 to 10 inches, 4 to 9, something like that seems a good bet. I would think more like 6 to 10 here when I'm saying this Sunday evening, again, the 850 temperatures go up around 0, -1, 0, +1. So that's snow and sleet and freezing rain mix. But again, your temperatures with those north winds developing on Sunday night stay at or below 32 degrees. So the Virginia Piedmont could have a lot of freezing drizzle and freezing rain or sleet here. And then the wraparound snow on Monday looks pretty significant in some places in the Virginia Piedmont, so a good 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 inch snows are possible there. Interior Southeast Virginia, talking Williamsburg down towards Franklin, Emporia, that sort of thing. Wakefield, what have you. 1 to 2 inches Sunday morning, goes over to rain pretty quickly. Hampton Roads, I'm sorry, this is a rain event. On south side, it definitely is. All right, Northern Virginia, D.C. metro area. And to the south into southern Maryland, Calvert, St. Mary's counties. Will DC change over to mix or rain? Mixing, yes. DC rain, don't think so. If it does, just for now. But the mixing is definitely a possibility after a significant snow falls, but I'm not going rain there yet. Most of the snow falls on Sunday. 6 to 10 inches seems a good bet. With higher amounts, in Virginia, up towards, Gainesville and Ashburn and Reston and that sort of stuff on the north side of DC, and lower amounts towards, St. Mary's and Calvert's and Manassas. The Sunday evening temperatures get around 0, 850, but the temperatures again at 32 degrees or below, so you could have a lot of freezing rain and sleet here. Coating on top of the snow, so that can make travel really treacherous. And the wraparound snow in northern Virginia, into the northern Delmarva, all looks pretty good here. At least 1 to 3 inches. The Delmarva and then southern New Jersey, big differences here between northern Delaware and southern Delmarva. Southern Delaware and Salisbury, Maryland. They could have a 6-8 inch difference in snowfall totals. The same thing in southern New Jersey, Cape May to Atlantic City. Only a couple of inches it goes over, but meanwhile, Gloucester and Woodbury and Deptford and Swedesboro and Marlborough, a place like that, they could have several inches more snow. Then, depending on the coastal low, the wraparound snow comes into these places on Monday afternoon and evening, not during the morning hours, into early Tuesday morning. So that's when you get your wraparound snow with additional couple of inches there, a good possibility. And then finally, the last uncertainty here is the New York-Pennsylvania state line. Does the 2-inch line make it to the Pennsylvania-New York border? Does it stay under 4 inches? That's some uncertainty there as well. This is Meteorologist DT. I hope you like this presentation on my forecast. It's detailed, it's accurate as I can make it, explaining my reasoning, because the reasoning, it's not just getting the numbers, it's how you get the numbers and the reasoning and the process. So anyway, feel free to drop me a line over on the Twitter page or on the Facebook page. I'll talk to you soon.